This is my micro peer teaching video for a visual arts class, high school. Today we're going to go over the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. The content standards are 1.1, identify and use the principles of design to discuss, analyze, and write about visual aspects in the environment and in works of art, including their own. And 1.4, analyze and describe how the composition of a work of art is affected by the use of a particular principle of design. The lesson objectives are cognitive. Students will analyze works of art to identify the use of the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio. Affective, students will understand how they perceive the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio in their environment and works of art. And psychomotor, students will show evidence of the golden ratio by drawing the Fibonacci sequence on works of art. The formative assessment is students will identify and label the use of golden ratio in works of art found online, and the summative is students will describe the connection between the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. They will also explain why the golden ratio is used by artists in works of art. All right, class, we are going to start with a warm-up journal. We're going to review the Fibonacci sequence that we went over yesterday. The first part is to complete the sequence. The second part, I want you guys to describe at least 3 specific places the Fibonacci sequence can be found. All right, so what's the next number in the sequence, class? Right, it is 21. Okay, we got that by adding the 8 and the 13 to get the next number in the sequence. All right, who knows the next number? Correct, 34. Okay, we added 13 and 21 to get 34. What's the next number? Right, 55. Okay, you should have added the 21 and the 34 to get 55, and that goes on forever. Okay, what are some places you can find the Fibonacci sequence? Good, yep, that's right. Okay, so pine cones, flowers, shells, really anywhere in nature. And then today we're going to go over how the Fibonacci sequence is used in works of art. All right, so the golden ratio is connected to the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, here we have the sequence. And when you take one number of the sequence and divide it by the number before it in the sequence, you will get a number around 1.618. Okay, this is the golden ratio. Okay, ratios are the proportion between 2 numbers. Okay, so here we have A is 1, B is 0.618. Okay, so we have the proportion between A and B. We also have the proportion between A and B together, which is the 1.618. So we have the proportion between A and B and A. Okay, so A and B is to A as A is to B. All right? So this is the Fibonacci spiral. So we have the proportion of shapes. So if this was 1 to 1, then we have 3 next to it. So when you divide the dimensions of these shapes, you'll get a number close to the golden ratio, 1.618. Okay, so this explains it a little bit better. We have the golden spiral, and it goes on into infinity, by the way. Okay, so we have it coming out, and this creates an aesthetically pleasing composition in works of art if you use these proportions throughout. Okay, so questions to consider today. You want to be thinking about this as I'm going through the slides. How is the golden ratio connected to the Fibonacci sequence? And why do some artists use the golden ratio in their artwork? Okay, so you can find the golden ratio in Renaissance art. Who knows what work of art this is? All right, it's a Mona Lisa, right? Okay, so we see their proportions used in the hand to the chin, and then from her chin to her head mainly, okay? And then that spirals in towards her nose. So this creates an aesthetically pleasing composition. It's nice to look at. All right, this is the Last Supper. We see the composition used vertically and horizontally. Okay, so vertically we have this proportion to the center and also over here. And we have it used here as well. So these proportions are the golden ratio. Also in modern art, so you can see it used throughout this instrument. Also in logos, okay, you see the proportion used. This is very eye-catching when you're shopping, looking for a new car, when you're on Google. It's just a nice logo to look at. So what I want you guys to do is go to this website, and I need you to find and label 3 works of art that use the golden ratio in some way. All right, we will view these as a class. So you need to label them like this. Okay, I need you to use the lines, draw on your works of art that you find, draw the Fibonacci sequence and the use of the golden ratio. All right, so now I need you guys to do a journal. Okay, so we just looked at your works of art that you identified and labeled, and now I want you guys to answer these questions in your journal. Okay, so how is the golden ratio connected to the Fibonacci sequence? Explain and support your answer using math and also a drawing. Okay, and then why do some artists use the golden ratio in their artwork?